The signal came from the edge of known space, faint, fractured, and pulsing like a dying heartbeat. It was discovered by a deep space relay drone orbiting the decayed remnants of a neutron star. The message wasn't in any known frequency or code, yet its rhythm contained an eerie structure, something deliberate, almost pleading. The stellar research vessel Erebus was the first to respond. I was aboard her as a xenolinguist, tasked with translating what no human had ever heard before. I'd spent my career studying the forgotten languages of dead worlds and the cryptic transmissions left by civilizations long extinct. But this one, it was different. When we arrived, there was nothing but the void, until our scanners picked up the faint outline of a ship, if it could even be called that. It floated like a shard of crystal, fractured and half-buried in space-time distortion. Its structure seemed to warp reality around it, bending light into colors I'd never seen before. We brought it aboard against regulation. Our commander said it looked abandoned, a ghost ship drifting between galaxies. But when we opened its core chamber, we found her. She was humanoid mostly. Her skin shimmered like mercury under the cold ship lights. Her hair, if you could call it that, flowed in strands of light, constantly shifting through hues that made my eyes ache. Her eyes were luminous, twin orbs of violet fire. She was breathing barely. When she spoke, her voice wasn't sound. It was vibration directly in our minds. "Don't be afraid," she said. "I have no one left." We placed her in medbay. Her physiology defied analysis. Her blood was metallic. Her cells emitted radiation patterns that mirrored starlight. The ship she came in on was older than any recorded civilization. Yet her language, I began to decipher fragments. Her name, translated loosely, meant Seraphine of the Seventh Veil. To the woman with no one. Seraphine regained consciousness after 3 days. When she opened her eyes, the entire medbay dimmed, the sensors overloaded by a surge of photonic energy. She sat up slowly, examining her surroundings like a queen assessing a foreign court. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice trembling between frequencies. "You're aboard the Erebus. You sent a distress signal. We found you." She blinked, confusion crossing her face. "No, I didn't send it." Her expression shifted from confusion to fear, and then to grief. She told us she came from a place beyond mapped galaxies, a cluster known to her people as the Luminous Expanse, a realm of energy beings and matter forms intertwined. Her civilization had ruled for eons, vast interstellar dynasties governed by monarchs who were part biological, part cosmic construct. She had been their queen. At last, she said. Her empire fell not to war, but to something deeper, entropy itself. The stars in her realm began to die prematurely, consumed by a dark energy that spread like a plague. Whole systems vanished into black silence. She fled not to survive but to find the source, and perhaps undo what had begun. "I had millions under my care," she whispered once, her gaze distant. "Now I have no one." Despite her claim of loneliness, there was an unmistakable aura around her, something ancient, sovereign, unyielding. The engineers whispered that her presence interfered with the ship's AI. The lights flickered when she entered a room. Our instruments began reading phantom power surges, as if the Erebus itself were afraid of her. 3. The signal behind the signal. While Seraphine recovered, I continued studying her ship. It wasn't just a vessel, it was a living being, or at least it had been once. Its walls pulsed faintly with bioluminescence, and its neural core still emitted ghostly impulses, like a brain refusing to die. One night, I noticed something strange. The distress signal we'd intercepted was still being broadcast, even though Seraphine insisted she hadn't sent it. It was emanating from deep inside her ship's data lattice. When I decrypted it further, I found something buried within the transmission, a repeating sequence of 3 words. She still reigns. When I showed it to Seraphine, her expression darkened. That isn't a warning, she said. It's a threat. She explained that among her kind, power was not held through armies or technology, but through something called the crown of continuum, a living network of energy that linked the monarch to the fabric of the universe. When a queen died, her consciousness dissolved back into the cosmic weave, empowering the next ruler. But if someone tried to sever that link, the entire balance could collapse. Someone stole it, she said softly. My crown. My essence. For the awakening. Over the next weeks, Seraphine's strength returned, but so did her influence over the Erebus. The ship began responding to her thoughts. Gravity fluctuated when she walked. Our navigation logs started recording impossible coordinates, as though the Erebus were trying to fold through dimensions it wasn't built for. The crew began to fracture. Some saw her as a savior, an emissary of divine power. Others saw her as a threat. Commander Day ordered her confined to medbay, but no cell could hold her. One night, alarms screamed. I ran to the observation deck and found her there, standing before the viewing pane, staring into the void. Around her, space itself seemed to ripple, stars bending closer, colors bleeding through the darkness. They're coming, she said. What's coming? I asked, trying to steady my voice. The ones who took the crown. The voidkin. She reached out, touching the glass. Her hand shimmered, her form flickering between light and matter. They will follow me wherever I go. They want what remains of my link to the continuum. Through me, they can unmake what is left of the living cosmos. As if on cue, the ship's sensors flared. A fleet of unknown signatures emerged from hyperspace. Ships that looked like shadows given form, obsidian shapes that seemed to absorb starlight. The Voidkin had found her. The Queen's power. The battle that followed wasn't like anything recorded in human history. The Erebus wasn't built for war, but Seraphine didn't need weapons. She stood in the center of the bridge, eyes glowing like newborn stars, and extended her hand. The ship's systems surged to life. Power readings off the scale. The Erebus began to move like a living thing, twisting through space, evading beams of black energy. When the enemy fired, their own weapons bent backward, consuming them in implosions of light. Seraphine wasn't controlling the ship. She was the ship. You cannot fight entropy, she whispered, voice resonating across every comm channel. But you can make it remember. A wave of energy erupted from her, not destructive but transformative. The darkness around us fractured like glass, revealing stars hidden behind the void. For a brief, impossible moment, it felt like the universe itself was breathing again. When it was over, the Voidkin fleet was gone. Only drifting fragments remained, dissolving into the ether. But Seraphine collapsed, her body fading like a dying ember. 6. The memory field. We brought her to the medbay, but nothing we did could stabilize her. Her form was destabilizing, not dying but unraveling, as if her body could no longer remain anchored in our reality. It's the crown, she whispered. They still have it. Without it, I'm incomplete. She told me that the crown was more than a symbol. It was the heart of her being. It contained the collective essence of her people, the memories of every soul that had ever lived in the luminous expanse. Without it, she was just an echo. I asked her if we could find it. Yes, she said, eyes glowing faintly. But the path will cost you everything. She reached out and touched my forehead. Instantly, my mind was flooded with visions. Galaxies collapsing, stars weeping streams of light, and an ocean of consciousness swirling in the void. I saw her as she once was, standing before a throne made of light, surrounded by billions of her kind, their voices singing through space-time. She was not merely a queen. She was creation's custodian. And then I saw the theft, the voidkin tearing the crown from her, ripping away her connection to eternity. I felt her pain as her empire dissolved, her people consumed by the silence of the void. When I awoke, she was gone. 7. The journey beyond the Erebus's logs showed that Seraphine had transported herself back to her ship, or what was left of it. Against orders, I followed. Inside her vessel, I found her standing in the core chamber, surrounded by holographic constellations, each one flickering like a memory. "You shouldn't have come," she said softly. "I couldn't let you face them alone." Her eyes met mine, a mix of sorrow and gratitude. "Then you will see what few ever have, the rebirth of a queen." She activated the ship's core. The walls ignited with streams of living light, and space folded inward. I felt reality twist around me as if the laws of physics were bowing in reverence. We emerged not in space as I knew it, but in a place of pure energy, a realm between universes. In the center floated a massive construct, pulsing with dark fire, the stolen crown. The voidkin surrounded it, their forms writhing like living shadows. "They feed on forgotten stars," Seraphine said. "They were once part of us, until they chose to unmake instead of create." She floated forward, her form beginning to blaze with radiant energy. The voidkin attacked, launching tendrils of darkness that devoured everything they touched. But Seraphine raised her hand, and from her body erupted a symphony of light, every color, every wavelength, every particle vibrating in harmony. "You took my crown," she said, her voice echoing through the void. "But you cannot take what I am." The light expanded, consuming the shadows. I felt their screams vibrate through existence itself. Then silence. When the radiance dimmed, the crown floated before her, its brilliance restored. She placed it upon her brow. 8. The queen returns. The transformation was instantaneous. The realm trembled as Seraphine's true form emerged. Vast and magnificent, a being of starlight woven with the essence of life itself. Her presence alone reignited the dead constellations around us. She looked down at me, no longer just a woman, but something beyond comprehension. "You see now," she said. "I am never alone. My people live within me." She reached out, touching my hand, and for a moment I saw her universe reborn. The stars of the luminous expanse flickered back to life, each one singing her name. Then she turned toward me once more. "Tell your kind what you have seen. The universe is not a machine of chance, it remembers. Every soul, every dream, every spark of creation is part of a greater whole. You must protect it." Before I could speak, she smiled, a sad, infinite smile, and vanished in a flare of light. 9. The aftermath. When I awoke, I was back aboard the Erebus. The crew was gone, their stations empty. The ship drifted near the ruins of Seraphine's vessel, which now glowed faintly, like a dying star made gentle. The logs showed no record of the battle, no mention of her, no trace of the voidkin. Only me, alive and unaccounted for. But outside the viewport, I saw something new. Constellations that didn't exist before, arranged in a perfect spiral. They pulsed, faintly, in rhythm with my heartbeat. And sometimes when I close my eyes, I can still hear her voice. "I had no one," she whispers. "But through you, I am not forgotten." X. Epilogue. The queen of the continuum. Years have passed since that day. I've become something of a ghost myself, dismissed by the Galactic Council as delusional, a scientist driven mad by isolation. But I know what I saw. I've spent my life decoding the patterns of those new constellations. They are not random, they are language. A message written across the stars themselves. When translated, the first phrase reads, "The Queen endures," and the second, "Guard the light." Sometimes in the quiet hours I feel a faint warmth in my chest, a pulse that isn't mine. I think she left something behind in me, a fragment of her crown. Maybe that was her plan all along, to share her burden, to ensure her reign was not of dominance, but of remembrance. Because the universe does remember. Every star that dies whispers her name. Every new sun that ignites carries her light. And every lonely traveler who looks up into the endless dark will, someday, hear the echo of her voice. "I had no one," she said. "But I was never alone."